Welcome back to Ride Along. I'm Joe Monahan, and once again, taking a ride through the beautiful Orlando/Oviedo area. Lots of winding roads, lots of trees, very little traffic. Today, we're going to talk about a lesson I learned many, many years ago, and it's something that a lot of people, I think, miss the definition of. So, when somebody has said, I mow my own lawn because it saves me money, or I work on my own car because it saves me money, or I paint my own house or repair my own house because it saves me money. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is what you'd be paying somebody to perform that service for you. Don't consider if the hands-on experience, but more importantly, all of the things that you'd see by doing it yourself that you might not see letting somebody else do it for you. Now, why is this important? Because maintenance is a very important part of everything that you do. So if you mow your own lawn, you're going to see things in that lawn and in and around your house that you wouldn't ordinarily see if you didn't take that walk every week. So now think about all the things that you may have discovered along the mowing process that you said, oh, I didn't realize that. I should really get that fixed. Well, if you got ahead of it, it would cost a lot less than if it broke or had a severe break because you didn't notice it, or more importantly, the lawn care people aren't looking for it. The lawn care people are there to cut your lawn. They're not there to keep an eye on your house or the fence of the surrounding area. Recently I sold my house, and by going through and doing the repairs, I had discovered a few things that I wasn't aware of, and I'm glad I found them and got them repaired before I started showing the house, because if an inspector came through and saw them, they might misinterpret some of the things that I found and say that there might have been a more serious issue with the house than there truly was. So being able to catch those things, repair them under my control, and then saying, here's what I think you should be doing, that could be the difference between you need to sheetrock or re-sheetrock an entire room versus just fix a corner because the window had a minor leak, and where they did the check, they found moisture. If you fix it and you test everything else around it, there's no moisture. It's just that one area. Well, if they tested by random that one area and found moisture, they might say there's a possibility that the entire room is compromised. When you do things yourself, you don't have to do everything, but a lot of times people neglect, let's say, going through their computers every once in a while, checking to see if there's any issues by themselves, not depending on somebody else. Somebody, instead of hiring somebody to tell them if they need certain levels of data protection, or more importantly, they need a certain level of hardware. If you were in there every day, you would have insight into how much you're using and the performance of that solution. So once again, you take control of that situation versus turning that control over to somebody else and leaving it to chance. So the reason I bring this up is Veeam has a solution called Veeam ONE. A lot of different people out there have a similar solution, but it's amazing how few people use these solutions. With Veeam ONE, I can monitor, but also pull reports for current and past events from the database, and I could be able to see or be able to build myself a roadmap of things that might need attention in the near future and get ahead of them without having to call somebody in. There is a need for services. I can get ahead of it, bring somebody in, and instead of them having to spend hours, if not days, trying to hunt down what needs to be taken care of, you can really provide them some really critical and important data that will help them make a better decision and build a better relationship with you and whoever you hire to work on your data center or to maintain your data. Important is I think that services are incredibly important. But what we have many times is kind of an adversarial relationship, because a services person will come in, they'll do an analysis, and they'll say, here are the things that I think are wrong. And you have an IT team that may not have found those, and they might not feel, let's say, comfortable in front of their boss having these things pointed out, because it makes them look like they might not be doing their job. So again, you start this adversarial relationship between what should be a very well-oiled, cohesive machine. By having something like Veeam ONE, you are giving your team the ability to know when they're able to manage, maintain those items, and when it's time to call somebody in that might know that solution a little bit better, or provide an insight that they might not be comfortable doing, or more importantly, maybe they want these services to take care of something that is more repetitive, or something that's going to take cycles away from what they're doing day to day. So, for example, if they're working on a project that is time sensitive and they are really against the wall, but there's this upgrade that needs to be done. So what's more important, getting that project done, or having them take that time, push it to take care of this task that they can hire somebody else to do? Now you might say, well, but that person's going to cost more money to take care of that task. Once again, what's the value of taking the people that have been working on a project and allowing them to complete that project on time, versus I'm going to push it because I think I'm saving money pulling those people off that project to do this task. Days as a consultant, days as a trainer, talking to people over and over again, it's amazing how often people misvalue a task. So they would say, well, I got somebody here that I pay this much money to do that task. Okay? They spent 3 months working on a project and they're 2 weeks away from finishing it on time. Do you believe a consultant can come in and grab all of that information, follow all of those steps, understand all of those details, and knock it out in 2 weeks so they can go and perform this task? Or is it more valuable to have somebody that you know can come in, knock out that simple task in a very quick time, and let the person that's been working on that project continue to keep the value where it should be? This is, once again, the value of Veeam ONE being able to make that information available for your IT department and yourselves to put those tasks where they need to be, and put the person on it who is the best value or the best choice based on their knowledge. So, once again, the value of doing something yourself, there's so much more surrounding or orbiting value to that task than most people realize. Veeam ONE, to me, is like mowing your lawn every day. It's something that you're going to do, it's repetitive, like looking through Veeam ONE each day, but there's so much more value or information provided through that task that's going to keep you ahead of other problems far more than you realize until you start doing it.